we'll move on to the co-feature, same card there in Queens, New York. That's going to be Hamzah Sheeraz versus Edgar Berlanga. And I give credit to both guys for taking this fight. Burlanga, he's been pretty inactive since the Canelo fight. He had one fight. It was a one-round knockout after the Canelo fight. But for Shiraz, he's coming off of a very tough fight, a draw versus Adames at the 160-pound division, which was a title fight. This will be his first fight at 168 pounds. This will be his first fight with Andy Lee in his corner training him. Great stylistic matchup to me. Want to just get right into it and hear your take. But what do you make of Burlanga and Shiraz?
I think that the last thing you said, I'll start with that, Andy Lee in his corner can only help. Andy Lee is he's a top trainer. He's a former world champion. He's done a great job with Joe Parker and with
Paddy Donovan.
Keith Sullivan's fighter, kid in Ireland, who I think is going to be a welterweight champ pretty soon, by the way. And he had
Yes, he will be fighting the rematch with Lewis Crocker in a few months.
Yeah, I think he'll stop him, as he stopped him the first time, but the referee screwed up that fight, quite frankly, and really did, really bad. And I don't know if he did it because he had an interest in that. I don't know. I don't know any of that information. All I know is what he did. He definitely favored Crocker in that fight to a point that he shouldn't have. And it changed the outcome of what should have been a knockout for Paddy Donovan. But anyway, they get a chance to do it again, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Andy Lee is a positive because he's shown it. Again, he's shown it by the results that he's gotten with the fighters that he's been training. I find it really not only an interesting fight. I find it in a way to be just a hopeful. I'm struggling with the word I want, but where it's good to see from the Shiraz side, both sides, but especially Shiraz. He came off a tough performance for his first world title try. He got a draw. A lot of people didn't think he deserved it against Adames. I thought the fight was closer than other people thought, where it was much closer. But I grant you that you could see where people favored Adames in that fight and where Shiraz wasn't great in that fight. I don't think he was mature enough for that fight yet. I think he was missing a little bit of the professional experience. He's got the talent. He had a good amateur pedigree, but you still got to have the right amount of experience, which brings the right amount of seasoning with it. And with that, it brings confidence. And I think that Shiraz was missing some of that in his first go-around for the world title against Adames. I think that fight served him. I think that fight, well, first of all, it had to serve him, because if it didn't, he's going to lose to Burlanga. But I think that it served him to make him a better fighter, because that's what happens. When you know how to match guys, you know how to develop guys, and they have talent, but they need that seasoning, they need that fight to bring them over the top. You give them that fight. And I think that was the fight for Shiraz. I think you're going to see a more complete guy. You're going to see a guy who fights still using his height, sharpshooter, good puncher, long and tall, knows how to fight long and tall, but you're going to see a more confident fighter. You're going to see a guy who, again, the Adames fight will bring him to that next level. If you don't, then they made a mistake. Then they made a mistake in taking Burlanga, because he's a good puncher, he's big, he's strong, he's getting more confident too. It's an interesting fight, and again, I give credit to both, but I give a lot of credit to Shiraz, coming off a disappointing performance against Adames. Disappointing to the fans, disappointing to a lot of people, but probably his own people were smart enough to see, and Adames himself, that this fight was the fight he needed if he's going to become the fighter they hope he becomes. You know what I mean, bud? I think that was the fight that will catapult him. And now they're going to find out if that's the truth. And Berlanga, I don't know how he makes weight. This guy, I give him credit, but man, his weight cut's got to be crazy. He is big. He is huge. When he gets out of that ring, I don't know what he's going to weigh, but he's going to be a lot bigger than, not taller maybe, but a lot bigger, more mass than Shiraz. It'll probably look like a freaking cruiserweight with a middleweight. I mean, he is that big. And Shiraz is moving up in weight on top of it. Let's not forget that. He's moving up, right? He's moving up.
Yeah, from 160 to 168, which I think will serve him. I think he was draining himself to make 160.
That's a good point because he was a tall, thin guy. You're right. That might. And maybe that's part of the play. Maybe that's part of the plan in their camp that, hey, they don't know. Other people don't know what we know. We know we were draining ourselves. We know we're going to be better served moving up. They think we're taking a risk. No, we're doing the right thing. We're going up. It's a good move for us. Obviously, not as dangerous as everyone else thinks, going up there with a bigger guy after we had a performance that was less than, scintillating at middleweight. Berlanga's a good puncher. I still think Burlanga is a work in progress mentally. I still think he's a guy who's looking to get his confidence more, even though he talks with it, with the bravado and with everything else and all that stuff. And he knows how to fight, and he has talent. But I still think that mentally there's still some areas with him that still have to be completed, that still have to be filled in for himself. I really do. And maybe Shiraz sees that, or he senses that, and he's going to see if he can... if he can capitalize in those areas, if he can take advantage in those areas, he's going to have to control the outside Shiraz. He's going to have to try to stay from being, in too tight with the bigger, stronger guy. He's going to have to make him pay a price for trying to make real estate on him. He's going to have to be on his P's and Q's all night, and he's going to have to be a lot better than he was against Adames. I believe he will be. And because I believe in this kid. I like Burlanga too, but I believe in this kid that he feels he has a destiny and that he feels that this is part of fulfilling his destiny. And we'll find out. It's an interesting card, and it's an interesting fight.